Hi, and welcome to the Charlotte and Lydia Quilt-along. I'm so glad you decided to join me. It's called the Charlotte and Lydia Quilt-along because the pattern includes instructions on making 2 quilts. Let me explain. Behind me is Charlotte. Isn't she gorgeous? She uses my new flower pot collection from Island Boutique, and I love the colors in this collection. Anyway, when you make Charlotte, the process includes making bonus half square triangles. Those bonus half square triangles you can use to create a second quilt, which I call Lydia. I named these 2 after 2 of my nieces, and if you knew them, you'd know why I'm smiling right now. They're awfully cute and fun. But getting back to Charlotte, in the quilt-along, I will have prizes, and I'll get to that in a moment. But to enter for the prizes, you don't need to make both quilts. But it's important to know that the pattern allows you to make both quilts fairly easily because, again, you're making bonus half square triangles, and so that pretty much makes Lydia all by itself. Now, where do you get the pattern? Well, the pattern is on sale for a short period of time on my website, which is inquiringquilter.com. And if you sign up for my special Quilt-along newsletter, you'll get an additional discount. So while the sale is going on, you could save as much as $4 by signing up for the newsletter. Now, the sale will only go on while I'm doing coordinating celebrations for the release of Flower Pot. So if you're here on October 10th, make sure that you do take advantage of the sale while it's still there. To sign up for my newsletter, there'll be a link in the video description. So look for that. Sign up for the special Quilt-along newsletter, and I will let you know when each of the videos come out for the Quilt-along. And also, I'll provide that special code that you need to get a discount on Charlotte. The Charlotte pattern, by the way, includes instructions not only for making Charlotte, but also for making the companion quilt, Lydia. The fabric requirements we'll get to in a moment. They do include instructions on what you would need if you want to make both quilts. But first, let's talk about the schedule. The Quilt-along starts today, October 10th, and will continue weekly for 4 weeks, which means it will go through October 31st. At that point, we'll take a break, and you'll have time to either catch up or simply put together your quilt, finish it, and enter it for prizes. You'll have until January 15th of 2025 to enter for a prize. And I hope you will, because the prizes are pretty darn good. Let me talk about the prizes. First prize is an entire fat quarter pack from my new collection, Flower Pot. The prize also includes the patterns that I designed exclusively for Flower Pot. So you'll get 2 patterns plus a fat quarter collection if you win first prize. Second prize is similar. It's a fat 1/8 pack from the entire fat quarter collection. So that's 20 fat 1/8 plus your choice of one of the patterns I designed for Flower Pot. So you get a pattern plus a fat 1/8 collection for second prize. For third prize, well, I made a lot of quilts using Flower Pot, and I have a lot of scraps left over, and those scraps range from about 2 inches square up to almost a fat 1/8. So whatever I can stuff into a little mailer is what you'll get for winning third prize. So those are the prizes, and to enter, you need to make at least a quilt top. So you can make Charlotte and enter the quilt top for a prize. If you finish the quilt itself, you will get 2 chances to win. If you finish a Lydia quilt top, that's another chance to win. And if you finish a Lydia quilt, that's another chance. So you could have up to 4 chances to win either the first prize, second prize, or third prize in this Quilt-along. So And I will tell you that this is a very fast quilt to make, so hopefully you will be able to make both quilts and enter them in time to get extra chances to win. But minimum, all you need to do is make a quilt top, the Charlotte quilt top or the Lydia quilt top, and get a photo of that entered, and that will count as one chance to win. Let's see, we've talked about the schedule, we've talked about where you get the pattern, and we've talked about the prizes. So let's turn our focus to the theme for this particular week's video, and that's fabric selection. So as I hinted at before, the fabrics are listed on the back of the Charlotte pattern. And if you're just making Charlotte, here's the size that it finishes. It's roughly double, not quite, maybe a small queen, a very small queen, but it's a fairly large quilt, as you can see behind me. And the reason these are fast is because they use pre-cuts. So you'll either need to use 2.5-inch strip packs, or you can, if you can't find strip packs that work for you, you can use yardage. And using those strip packs will be enough to make both quilts. Then you will also need some background. You'll need some extra background if you decide to make Lydia. You'll need border fabrics for both quilts. You'll need binding for both quilts and backing for both quilts. So in order to make Lydia, you need to purchase a little bit more background, which in my case was black, plus the normal things like the border fabric, the binding fabric, and the backing fabric. But out of the 2.5-inch strip packs, you can get 2 quilts. So that's kind of fun. Let's talk about those strip packs and how you can decide whether they'll work for this project or not. You could be lucky enough to find something like these, which are from Blank Quilting, and they are a collection of, these are all green strips, and this is a collection of all blue strips. So if I were to go with 3 different colors, green, blue, and some other color, I could purchase 3 strips here and make both quilts and then have lots left over as well. But that's one way of doing it. Or I could purchase just 1 strip pack, and notice that there's variations here. There's lights and mediums and darks. And provided there's enough strip of each kind, you might be able to get away with buying 2 of the same color and making it just, instead of pink, blue, and yellow, you could make dark green, dark, medium green, and light green as your stripes. You could also just alternate light and dark stripes instead of all 3, if that's what you want to do. So that's one type of strip pack that you could use, but it's not very common that you find them all in one single color. It's more common that you find them in a variety like this. Here I have 2 strip packs, but as I look at them and I think about dividing them into 3 categories for the 3 stripes that you see behind me, I've got kind of these yellow and pinks, and then I have kind of these murky purples, and then I have these greens. So I have to figure out a way to divide these into 3 groups. And the pattern tells you how many strips of each you're going to need. So when I analyze this, it might work. I might need to purchase a little bit of extra yardage to make it work or not. With this one is a Cafe Facet strip pack, but unfortunately, first of all, it's only 30 strips, so I might need more than the 2 to make Lydia and Charlotte. But when I turn on the side, I can see that there's definitely 3 colors in this. There's a yellow, a blue, and a pink. I will have to look to see if there's enough of each and which one will become what in my in the pattern, but this would probably work. Here's another strip pack. This is something by Moda, and it's divided into kind of creams and then blues and then reds and then browns and greens. So I might put the blues and the greens together, and then the red and the brown would each be its own stripe. But this one would very much work with the pattern. So those are some of the considerations in which strip packs you should select from your stash or go out and purchase to make these. Again, if you can't find strip packs that work for you, you can purchase yardage, and the pattern tells you exactly how much you'll need. Once you have your fabric selected, your 2 strip packs or your yardage, please share it online. We all want to be inspired by the colors and fabrics that you're selecting to make these quilts. And plus, it's also fun when you're quilting along to see how the other people are progressing. When you share online, please use the hashtag #Charlotte Lydia QAL, and then tag me so that I know that you posted by adding an @Inquiring Quilter. Both of these things go in the text of your post. So you might say, hey, here's my fabrics that I've chosen for the Charlotte Quilt Along, and then underneath you put in the text, you just put the #Charlotte Lydia QAL and then @Inquiring Quilter, and that way I'll know that you've posted, and other people can follow the hashtag. You can tell Facebook or Instagram that you want to follow #Charlotte Lydia QAL, and it will notify you when there are more posts. So that's how you can see what other people are doing. Now, as far as cutting out the Charlotte and Lydia quilt, there are instructions inside that tell you exactly how to do that. But basically, you're going to be making strip sets. And you can use entire width of fabric strips, or you can cut them into the rectangles. Next week, we'll talk about the pros and cons of doing that, but the short version is that sewing multiple strips together that are 42 inches long with the fabric and making sure you get an accurate 1/4 of an inch all the way down the strip when you sew 2 together and you sew a 3rd one. All 3 of those strips need to have exact 1/4 inch seam allowance between them. And that's just really difficult to do for for beginners, certainly, but even experienced quilters sometimes find that hard to do. So in my pattern, I had you cut your fabric into shorter rectangles and then sew them together. Because they're shorter, it's much, much, much easier to make sure that you maintain that 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way through. So take a look at the pattern and decide which you want to do. If you want to attempt to sew long strip sets and then subcut them to be the length that the pattern tells you to go for, or if you want to go ahead and cut your strips and then take your 2.5 inch strips and then just subcut them into the rectangles that I recommend. So make that decision as you're doing your cutting. Now, this video had a lot of information on it. It had the schedule, it had a link for signing up for my special Quilt Along newsletter. It talked about the prizes, and it talked about how you can enter and what you need to do to enter and what the deadlines are. There is a page on my blog that will have all of this information that's in this video. It's a special post, and I will link to that post in the video description so that if you're a person who not only likes to watch the video, but also wants to maybe read and refer to stuff, you'll be able to do that by going to my blog and reading the blog post. So when we meet again next week, we will learn how to create the block units. That will be our first task. It'll be posted again 1 week from today. So today's the 10th, so it'll be posted on the 17th. And I look forward to seeing you back here. And in the meantime, don't forget to share your fabric selections. Bye.